From LALATE News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Mornings LALATE.
It's a big morning on Mornings LALATE with a world exclusive vouchers fourth stimulus check update of 2021. That world exclusive unhatched on this channel no less than 4 days ago, as Democratic senators and House members report to this channel's viewers that there will be an inclusion of a monthly stimulus check. That the deal has reportedly been reached after negotiations were near complete by the middle of this week. That the negotiations resulted in a deal among House members doing monthly stimulus checks, $1,000 a month after the first month of 2000 running for 6 months. That AOC Omar and Jayalapal have written it up and it's going for a vote within just days. In this recording, we'll go over the world exclusive of that reported deal of the inclusion of an MSC, but why you need to advocate down to the finish line. No time to stop advocating. I'll be explaining the incredible details in this recording. Then we cut to the first 645 pages of that reconciliation budget bill. Deliciousness, checks for seniors, workers, hazard pay, and more. We'll be cutting to cluster number 2 that has checks for everything except, unfortunately, no electric surfboard. I was looking forward to that. Then we cut to cluster number 3, checks for seniors, checks for medicine, and checks for other items across the board. We'll be cutting back to fifth stimulus, which heats up as well. An additional $13 billion landing in your cities and counties and states. And a big surprise as I go over more about the debt ceiling limit, because it's just like butter. Criminal undercover, as BTS would say. Because Mitch McConnell wants to tell you it's related to something. It's not even related to the cast of Days of Our Lives. In this recording, I go over that and more. It's a big morning with Congress working today, working tomorrow, doing a little bit more than even Mitch does. It's a great day. We got great stuff coming for you. And it starts right now because the toast is toast and the butter is butter. And I'm here, you're here. And it's time for Mornings LALATE. Starting, about now. There you go. Good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful day across the board. And guess what? Your fourth stimulus reconciliation budget bill has reached a deal for the inclusion of an MSC IRS check, says Democratic senators and House members to viewers this channel. No less than half a dozen viewers have gotten the confirmation from Pelosi's office, AOC, and Jayalapal. The negotiations, while near complete by the middle of the week, are complete. That the negotiations has resulted in writing it up and that it may already be written up. That the staffers are actually in session today writing up final language of monthly stimulus checks that would run for $1,000 a month after the first month of 2000 for 6 months. House members and Senate members are working today and are actually in meetings for the other provisions of that reconciliation budget bill. There's meetings starting Saturday afternoon and also Sunday afternoon, East Coast time. We'll be going over the first 645 pages of that recon release. Checks for seniors, workers, money for bikes, cars, home repairs, college students, and more. MSCs of nearly $51,000, hazard pay. And then we'll be cutting cluster number 2 and cluster number 3 with another world exclusive as identified as an additional $107 billion that's been reallocated to you under cluster number 3. We'll be cutting back to fifth stimulus as well. And then I'll be going over the debt ceiling limit, which actually has nothing to do with you. But Mitch McConnell, he's like butter, criminal undercover. He just wants to make everything sound like it's related to, Ancestry.com. Those details and more coming up in this video. We have a big recording, and this is LA, America's only 24-hour day, 7 days a week financial news channel in America. Coming up next is Mornings Crypto live on air. Boy, crypto went into implosion mode this week as PCR, People's Republic of China, went after it. I have the latest details and more about financial news in that recording. Then I'm back with you live at 11 a.m. with noontime. Then afternoons LA and evenings LA. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers. You want to be part of this channel. There is no place on this planet like LALATE. This channel is covering the depth of every provision in that recon hour after hour, with no less than 24 hours of programming now on this channel. I have the ability to go into incredible depth that you're not going to see in the major broadcast channels, the cable operators, or the print media. You're going to see world exclusives, details from offices of elected officials in this channel you're not going to see anywhere else. If you want the news, this is the place to subscribe right now. Like the video, 3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Let's cut right to where we are right now. It was 8 weeks ago where I told viewers to advocate. WR did, called up Senator Chris Coons' office. He confirmed monthly stimulus check inserted into the recon. I told viewers 3 weeks ago to advocate again. Lynn Glenn, brother Joshua, and Margaret did, and Bernie Sanders' office confirming monthly stimulus check. And then, as viewer after viewer, Tina, Donnie, Carolyn got confirmation over and over and over from Sanders' office the inclusion of a stimulus check provision. I said refocus as well over to the House. At that time, I didn't know that the House had the lead negotiators in the reconciliation budget provision. We had Larica, who had spoken to Senator Casey's office, Bob Casey, and he confirmed to us a week ago that they were near finalization of negotiations on the inclusion of a monthly stimulus check provision, but we didn't know who was in that negotiation group. We assumed it was senators and House members. Unbeknownst to me, I said, hey, reach out to AOC, Jalapal, Pelosi, and Omar, especially because we hadn't focused on them yet. That appeared to be the winning ingredient. Why? Because they were the lead negotiators. In fact, Pelosi was the number one negotiator. During the negotiations, her staff told viewers of this channel, no less than a half dozen viewers of this channel, that Pelosi was asking $1,400 a month for 12 months, along with Warren and others like Sanders couldn't get it, and so they had to pull it back to 6 months, and then they had to pull it to $1,000. By the end of the week, by the early part of this week, she had told viewers like Mark that negotiations were near complete. Paul, and then by the end of the week, Dragon and others, that the negotiations had nearly finalized. Confirmed as well by Jalapal's office to Janice and Omar to Janice and other viewers across the board. By the end of the week, most accounts suggest that the negotiations were done. The deal had been reached and that the writing had occurred. By all accounts now, it appears that the whole recon, yes, the thousands of pages of recon, has already been written. What they're doing today is confirmed by the congressional record, is staffers and members of Congress's House are meeting behind closed doors to do final markups of the reconciliation budget bill. The deal has been reached among the House Democrats for the inclusion of an MSC. Their staffers tell viewers of this channel, I'm reporting exclusively, as LA, the news site now in 20 years of existence, is reporting as well, and that the bill could be released within days. More about that bill in a second. But I'm going to go over cluster number 1, cluster number 2, and cluster number 3 of those other checks that are in that reconciliation budget bill, everything from hazard pay, money for seniors, and more. And it starts right now with the first 645 pages. Over a week ago, the House side, which is writing the recon, released the first 645 pages. And it's important to understand a few things. Number one, to be qualified for any of these checks in this recon, you don't have to have suffered anything from COVID. They're not COVID-related checks. Number two, the language is written by the House Democrats. All right, the first 645 pages has hazard pay, money for seniors, money for children, money for home repairs, college students, and also bikes, cars, and vehicles. Let's get to the details starting right now with hazard pay. This channel is very proud to report that hazard pay will be a lifetime fixture of the federal government because forced stimulus is making it a lifetime. This channel was the single biggest advocate for hazard pay, with no less than 500 videos in 2020 when people had forgotten about hazard pay. It's now going to be a lifetime. They're taking an old tax code called the Earned Income Tax Credit and broadening the eligibility so more essential workers qualify for it. For every year that you work as an essential worker and you're in the zone of eligibility, you will qualify for this incredible hazard pay. Then a big surprise, up to $4,000 if you care for an elderly person at home. This is huge. And up to $4,000 if you care for a young child at home. This is Richard Neal, head of Ways and Means. He got this in there. The eligibility is still being worked on. And this is a big surprise. Then, college students, 3 types of particular monies for you in there. First, grants to the university, grants particularly directly to you, and the Pell Grant made tax-free. Then, the big surprise is that the CTC checks of third stimulus will continue into fourth stimulus. CTC is a child tax credit where you're being prepaid early on. You don't have to repay it whatsoever. A child tax credit of up to $300 a month if the child is newborn to age 17. Well, guess what? They're going to make it lifetime. This is huge. So if you give birth to a new child, then you'll get up to $300 a month every month for every year up to 18 years that the household remains a low-income household. And that is $51,000 a child. Wow. What about home repairs? Yes, if that home is in a low-income community, you'll get home repair checks from the federal government in this fourth stimulus for 645 pages as well. Then what about bikes? There is money in there for electric trucks, bikes, bicycles, and also cars. First, the bikes. If you buy an electric bike, the federal government gives up to 15% of the purchase price. Then you want to buy a new electric vehicle for personal use, up to $7,500. Then a new electric vehicle for business use or a new electric truck for business use, a little bit more. It's the U.S. on your manufacturers. There you go. That's the first 645 pages of the reconciliation budget bill. In a second, I'm going to go over cluster number 2. It has a lot of checks in there, up to $1,700 a week for you. And then I'll be going to cluster number 3. It's deliciousness. But first, let's take a detour for a second to third stimulus. This is huge. Department of Treasury sent out an additional $13 billion to cities, counties, and states everywhere for rent, utilities. This is rich and poor states, blue and red, will have this money for you. And later in this video, I'll go over more about it and the nonprofits that are paying rent within 24 hours of viewers reaching out to them this week. Treasury is happy to provide these additional state and local governments with additional resources for rental assistance for Americans in time of need. More about that later. But let's go back now to cluster number 2's checks. These are huge. And they pay a lot of money. The first check is paid family leave and paid medical leave. Family leave is you have to stay at home because the wife is pregnant. Paid medical leave, you have to stay at home because the child has broken his leg. How much does it pay? A lot. If you make $80,000, if you make $70,000 or more per year, it's $1,700 a week. If you make $30,000 or more per year under third stimulus, it was $800 a week, $400 a week. Wait a second, $800 a week. And it's so hard doing this math on camera. And if you make $15,000 or more per year, it's $400 a week. Wow, that was the third stimulus numbers. Those are likely to carry into fourth stimulus. Then there's checks for lots of items, no less than 12 other items in there. Here we go. Number 2, childcare programs checks. Then checks for household tax credits. Then checks for weatherizing your home. I love that. Specially needed to weatherize your home if the Purple Hawks are on the roof and your Fox News. Yeah, nice visual. So weatherizing your home is needed if you're in a flood zone, a hurricane alley, or a fire zone. Very, very needed. Then that's the second check, by the way, for the home. Then we have more checks for seniors, including dental checks, vision, hearing, and caring, and medical eligibility age. And then we have more checks for education, universal pre-kindergarten, and then free community college nationwide. Definitely needed, especially because sweeping the country is the very, very popular new community college class called What the World is LATE Saying 101. It's for people who say, I just talk really funny, don't understand me. Yes, I'm a foreign language. I also talk Mula. That's the language of cows. So you can take that community college class so you can understand what the world I'm saying. Then we got green energy checks and more about that. The third cluster in a second. But where's Congress? Congress is working today. Congress, House members, and Senate members are confirmed by the congressional record as meeting this afternoon to go over final markups on the reconciliation budget bill. Yes, it has been written. Yes, they're going over for final editing drafts. Yes, they're doing this behind closed doors. How do they agree upon these things? Once they do things, they agree upon them one at a time. In the case of the MSC IRS checks, those negotiations went over 2 weeks. We got confirmation from Ulrika that Bob Casey said he was in the negotiation 2 weeks ago. Then we had confirmations from Mark and Paul and Dragon that the negotiations were near finalized by the middle of this week from Pelosi's office, and by the end of the week, nearly complete as well. So those negotiations were finalized and then reducing to a writing. House members are writing this. House members are introducing the legislation. Nearly 2-3 months ago, I reported exclusively that the House members would be writing it. I did not know that Pelosi would be the lead negotiator with some of the key provisions for us, and that the vote will start on the House side. All these workings being done by House members will not be appearing on TV. They're not on the House floor. They're not on the Senate floor. They're not on TV. They're not on TikTok. They're doing these in special private meetings that you don't know exist unless you read the congressional record. Those meetings this week have been doing big changes, not for money that concerns you, but for things like inheritance tax that was supposed to be in there and now out. Another tax that Ron Wyden wants in there may be inserted in there as well. All right, let's go to cluster number 3. Before I start cluster number 3, one of the comments I often get from viewers is, I like that item LA just mentioned. How do I get it? Not law yet, of course, but this is why this channel exists. I not only deliver you the excruciating details of every provision that's in the recon, but I also show you how to get the money. As this becomes law, I'm going to show you and make videos one after another showing you how to get each of these sums of money. All right, the third cluster has a $107 billion world exclusive. That's a big, expensive world exclusive. There is an additional $107 billion I have located that's coming to you under this recon. Cluster number 3. Free school meals for all, checks, tax break checks, cheaper prescription medication checks, checks for free internet, checks for farmers, checks for clean energy, checks for workers like independent contractors, and checks for seniors like checks for dental, checks for vision, checks for hearing, and checks for low and eligibility age for Medicare. Well, here's a world exclusive. $107 billion is coming to you under cluster number 3. What happened? A week ago, the Senate parliamentarian ruled one of the provisions in this recon cannot exist there. What was it? It was a dedication of funds to Department of Judiciary. Not you, Judiciary. That's why you weren't here on camera. Well, I went back in my notes and I cross-referenced and I realized that's $107 billion that was supposed to go to Judiciary. Guess where it's going now? You. Oh, yes. Then 2 of these checks in this third class the president like and I like because it's automatic savings. Let's look at them. First, cheaper prescription medication. How would this work? For example, you go to a pharmacy today, you pay for a prescription, you take 2 $20 bills out of your wallet to pay. This becomes law shortly thereafter. Then when you go back to refill, you only potentially have to take out 1 $20 bill. Instant savings of a $20 bill in your wallet. Then they're going to provide free internet. Federal government's going to give fortunes to cities, counties, and states so that they can offer free internet across the globe. So cities will launch their own internet company. Sir Lloyd wants it to be called T-Mobile. You just call up and ask for the username and password. The password is Blaine666, and the username is Scarf101. So there you go. In the second half of this video, we'll be going over more about the world exclusive of what's going on with this MSC IRS check and why you need to advocate every step. You need to advocate Monday and Tuesday. You need to advocate before the bill is debuted. You need to advocate after the bill is debuted. I'll show you why in the second half of this video. We'll be cutting more over to what's going on with the debt ceiling limit. Very interesting, very fascinating. We'll be cutting to FIST stimulus, and then we'll be going to the nonprofits. That in a world exclusive, again, you're going to see our paying viewers within 24 hours of reaching out for money for rent and utilities. And third stimulus as well. It's a big afternoon, and the excitement continues. It's a big morning. It's a big day, depending on what time zone you are in, or the Twilight Zone if you're Mitch McConnell. All those details and more coming up as Mornings LA continues. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now on Mornings LA, live from Santa Monica. It's a beautiful day. And in the second half of this recording, we'll be going over more about the deal hatched to include an MSC, says Senate and House Democrats to viewers of this channel. We'll go over why you have to advocate down to the wire and the world exclusive delivered on LA News site now in its second decade of existence. We'll be cutting more back to third stimulus, which raises your benefits up if you're on SSI, fifth stimulus, which raises your benefits up if you're on SSI and SSDI. And then we'll be turning to the big surprise as an additional cash infusion of $13 billion is coming out to your cities, counties, and states. And then with the nonprofits paying money within 24 hours from viewers of this channel, that and also the debt ceiling limit coming up in the second half of this video. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this incredible loving family. This family got Americans a second stimulus check. Now we're on the cusp of doing it again. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video, 3,000 like, and consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. Let's go right into the big surprise as third stimulus gets a big cash infusion of $13 billion. That big surprise came no less than a week ago, with Treasury sending out more money for rent, utilities, and also assistance similar. What does this mean? Get a pen, paper, and cell phone ready because I'm going to get this big money for you right now. When we look at the money for rent, it's gone up double in a month. Utilities triple, and SNAP 400%. Numbers for the viewers of this channel have absolutely gone through the roof. Here are the numbers a month ago. Viewers were getting Purple Hawks, I hope you remember, were getting $20,000 to $27,000 a month ago. Now, last week, viewers like Jen and countless other viewers were getting $35,000, $36,000. Jen got nearly $40,000 for rent. Mark, you remember Mark, $51,000 Mark? Well, he helped other people as well. And he helped his brother-in-law, and now that brother-in-law got $15,000 of utilities, a 300% growth in no less than a month. When we turn to SNAP, that growth has been astronomical to $21,000 for Mark's brother-in-law. It was nearly $5,000 a month ago for other viewers. Let's get that pen, paper, cell phone ready, and we'll go over all the details. First, I'm going to show you 6 places to reach out to. Reach out to all 6. They have different eligibility. They have different pots of money. If one says no, reach out to the next one. Number 2, listen to the keywords I say in this video. It helps get people approved. And number 3, the nonprofits I'm going to detail for you and their deliciousness. All right, here are the 6 places you reach out to. City Hall, City House Authority. County Hall, County House Authority. State Hall, and State House Authority. And the keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. There you go. Let's go over those 6 places again. City Hall, City House Authority. County Hall, County House Authority. State Hall, and State House Authority. Next, it's important to understand that if you're a member of this channel, the revised newsletter, which comes out every night, Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. approximately Pacific Standard Time, features a new addition in there. The statement from Treasury about the $13 billion. I want you to read that statement from Treasury before you pick up the phone, because if you've gotten money before, rent before, I want you to get more money. And if you call before and they said, we're out of money, I want you to know what the article says. So that when you call up, explain to them, hey, have you got to that money? No, we haven't. Can I be on the waiting list? We don't have a waiting list. Well, can I call you tomorrow to see if you have it? They're going to get it. Every state, red, blue, county, city, rich or poor, is going to get the money. And you got to pounce first as soon as it lands. Then utilities, reach out to all your utility companies. If you got 5, reach out to 5. Utility assistance because of COVID. And then the nonprofits. Whoa. I recorded no less than 500 videos in fall 2020, early 2021 called Purple about the nonprofits. And I brought them back in the mix a week ago, and boy, have viewers been excited. One viewer reached out to St. Vincent de Paul for rent, got it approved within 24 hours. Wants you to know about that success story. Another viewer on United Way wants you to know her success story. She got approved for rent from United Way within 24 hours. Another viewer from another nonprofit got a new furnace, a new refrigerator, and a window fix. Here are the 5 nonprofits. They do different things across the country. United Way, Salvation Army, Community Action, Catholic Charity, St. Vincent de Paul. 2 things to know about the nonprofits. 1, they're not the federal government, so they do things their own way. They have different eligibility totally than the federal government. Number 2, they pay for other things the federal government doesn't pay for. Sometimes they do things like homeless people into shelters, clothing, food, nominal repairs around the house or small appliances. They do things the federal government would never do. Here are the 5 nonprofits again. United Way, Salvation Army, Community Action, Catholic Charity, St. Vincent de Paul. They're also featured in the newsletter that's now upgraded as well. Let's turn to SNAP. SNAP is money for food. You get it from Department of Agriculture, and it's raising everyone's benefits up an average of 25% lifetime automatically starting October. So Mark's brother-in-law's benefits are going from $21,000 to $26,000. Here's a very important thing to know. There's a massive realm of confusion occurring about SNAP. It's unfortunate. Why? There's 2 letters in the mail to you. The first one says your SNAP benefits that were raised up under executive orders that ran from January to September are over, and now your SNAP benefits are going down. No one likes to get a letter like that. Unfortunately, the letter doesn't tell you. There's a letter right behind it that's coming in the mail a day or 2 or so later that says, oh, by the way, your benefits are now going up an average of 25% lifetime starting October. So do not fret if you get the first letter. There's a second letter behind it. Let's then turn to those unemployment benefits. States are paying the refund check back to you due to overpayment of unemployment benefits, a computer error. Average payment is about $2,000 to $5,000 for viewers. And then finally, the refund check from the federal government due to payment on that 2020 tax return for unemployment benefits. Margaret got it, Michael got it. Average payment is about $1,200 to $2,000. You can track it on our irs.gov 70% of the time. Finally, if you're in the live chat, you've gotten any sums of money, post your success story right now because you inspire other people. Lastly, if you've not become a member, consider becoming a member. The link is under the video. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. Monday through Fridays, I deliver to viewers at about 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time the LALATE newsletter, formerly known the PDFs. It has in there the money for first, second, and third stimulus for you to get. It comes from the YouTube community page and also through the LALATE alert system. Viewers have gotten big sums of money under third stimulus because of that newsletter. Johnny, $80,000. Mark, $51,000. Johnny's friends, $100,000. Lorraine, $100,000. Jen, $40,000 just last week. People are getting big sums of money because it is big sums of money under third stimulus. I want you to personally do the following for yourself. I want you, even if you got $20,000 for this channel or $5,000 before, I want you to now use the other resources of the newsletter, the nonprofits as well, and try to get the money as far into the future as possible, into 2022 as far as possible, because the money's available right now. It's not the winter months yet where resources start to get smaller. At the end of the year, nonprofits start to run out of funds. They have different levels of funds. They have annual allocations, so I want you to get the money right now. Also, a lot of these sums under third stimulus may not be repeated under fourth stimulus, like rent may not be continued under fourth stimulus. We don't know yet. So I want you to push and get these big sums of money as far as you can. Consider becoming a member right today. And with that, we go into the final 15 minutes of this video, starting right now with the deal hatched for the inclusion of an MSC IRS stimulus check. So says the Democratic senators and House members to viewers of this channel. Let's understand where we are. In a given day, this channel has 20 hours of programming, and I have the ability to go into incredible depth of everything of this recon. Broadcast media, they don't have the amount of time to cover all these subject matters. They broadly just say it happens, it doesn't happen. And no less than 8 weeks ago, I had delivered to viewers the details of what House members had written that they're going to include it. House members had written a bill. Senate members had said they're going to include it. But I still said advocate. And WR did. He picked up the phone and advocated. He called Senator Chris Coons, Democrat, Delaware, Joe Biden's oldest confidant, advocating for stimulus check inclusion, MSC. And Coons' office confirmed to WR, yes, monthly stimulus checks will be in there. World exclusive at the time. But some people said that's just Chris Coons. What about all the other senators? That was a call to action for us. And I said immediately, call all the Democratic senators. Everything changed about 3 weeks ago. At 3 weeks ago, I said to viewers the following exclusives. Number one, that the House members will be drawing up and writing the actual recon. We now know I was correct. Number two, the House Democrats are part of the negotiations. We now know that's also true. And that Bernie Sanders was the guy who had gotten the $3.5 trillion price tag. In fact, that he had actually told us. During the month of July, all the Democratic senators had met to agree upon what would become the recon procedural. Price tag, $3.5 trillion. Bernie went in there asking $7 trillion, he got $3.5 trillion. His part of the ingredient was critical. At the time, I told viewers, he's the budget chairman on the Senate Budget Committee. While the House Budget Committees were releasing the writings, there's also a Senate Budget Committee, and Bernie is the chairman of it. That week, Bernie made the critical quote that may have changed the landscape of this channel. That week, he said, unlike prior budget chairmen, Senate budget chairmen, when writing a budget bill, I like to get out amongst the people. I said, if you listen to that, that means he wants you to pick up the phone and advocate to him. And Lynn Glenn did, Margaret did, and brother Joshua did. They picked up the phone and advocated. Now, what does advocacy look like? What does it sound like? What is someone saying when they're advocating for something? In the last 48 hours, I am so proud of the viewers of this channel because I've never seen advocacy like this, and you have really taken it to another level. Let's look and see what's happened. Margaret said, honestly, when I was on the phone advocating for stimulus with the other woman, she and I started breaking down and crying because her advocacy was so impassioned and so passionate. Another viewer, whose name I'm withholding for privacy concerns, said, I picked up the phone and I said, hey, during the pandemic, I lost my husband. I had 10 surgeries. I'm raising 2 adult teenagers, and all I have is an SSI-DI check. I need it. And she broke down and cried. That is advocacy, going as deep as you can go to explain to the listener on the phone why you need a stimulus check. I need it for myself, for my teenage daughters, for my family, for my church, for my town, for my business, for my community. I need it. That's what Brother Joshua did for us, for himself, for his church, for his community. Brother Joshua is a 2020 volunteer of the community page who helped thousands of viewers get massive sums of money for rent and utilities. He's also a longtime Purple Hawk, and he advocated at Bernie Sanders' office 3 weeks ago, what I said to, and Sanders' office came back and said, yes, Sanders will be inserting a $1,000 to $1,400 stimulus check provision that would run 3 to 6 months, but needs to hear your support. That was our call to action. It was also our call to action when people said, but it's only Bernie. I said, you know what? You know what you got to do? You got to call every Democratic senator you can. And that is when the life of this channel took off. Donnie opened the floodgates shortly after Brother Joshua. Donnie picked up the phone and called Sanders' office and said, listen, I got to tell you what's going on with me. I needed to pay my water bill. I needed to progress. My city needs it. I need it. I need this dressed dramatically. And Sanders' office saying, yes, he's inserting an MSC. Yesterday, Hurricane Tina in Evenings LALATE said in one of the comments, I did not want to post publicly how I advocated because it's private, but I certainly advocated. And boy, did she ever. And Sanders' office saying, I'm including an MSC. Yaya, for everything she's endured, advocated to Ron Wyden's office. And Wyden's office said, yes, he's doing an MSC. In fact, he had written that beforehand. And he also wants to do SS200. Carolyn, who's also always in the morning's countdown show, picking up and saying, listen, people are losing their homes, Bernie. They're losing everything they got. She tells Sanders' office, we need this. And Sanders' office saying, yes, there's a monthly stimulus check provision. It was at that point that I said, you know what? You're doing a great job. But Will took us to another level. When Will revealed to us, don't call one office, call as many as your phone can call. He called in one day Sanders, Warren, and Schumer. And the call to Liz Warren's office was critical because Liz Warren's office confirmed what Pelosi eventually confirmed to no less than a half a dozen viewers just a few hours ago, Friday and Thursday and Wednesday, that several legislators in the negotiations were looking for 12 months at $1,400. Liz Warren's staffer telling Will that she's trying for $1,400 to $2,000, 6 to 12 months. Unfortunately, we couldn't get that big a number, but that's what Warren was fighting for. Lorica was really a big bombshell. She really was. This is not last week. This is the week before. 2 weeks ago, she called Bob Casey's office, and Casey's office confirmed to Lorica that negotiations were currently underway for the inclusion of the MSC, which Bob Casey wanted. So we knew the negotiations were there. And it's at that point, in a way, I knew where to focus, but I also got a little bit lucky. How did I get lucky? I said, hey, we got the Democratic senators saying over and over to viewers of this channel that they would do an MSC, but I said, reach out to the House members. I said, reach out to AOC, Jalapal, Omar, and Pelosi, because they were the people who had previously written they wanted to do an MSC or written the bill about it. I said, reach out to them. We got lucky. Why did we get lucky? Because unbeknownst to us, until a few days later, Pelosi was the lead negotiator for this provision. AOC, Jalapal, and Omar were actually writing it up. Oh boy. It started 2 weeks ago when Paul picked up the phone and called on a Friday to AOC's office, and AOC's office confirming to Paul that she is pushing for $1,000 a month after the first month of 2006 to 12 months. Then it continued when Janice called over to Jayalapal's office and got confirmation there will be a forced stimulus check. Janice this week also called over to Omar's office and got the same confirmation. It got taken to another level on Monday when Mark, $51,000 Mark, got Pelosi's office on the phone, and Pelosi's office confirmed that negotiations are near complete on the inclusion of a stimulus check, $1,000 a month after the first month of $2,000, 6 to 12 months. By the late part of the week, the confirmation continued to come in from other viewers like Paul and Dragon from Pelosi's office that it's $1,000 a month, 6 months after the first month of 2000, that the negotiations are near complete, and that Jalapal, AOC, and Omar and Pelosi are writing it up. There you go. What's happening right now? The Congressional Record reports that the Democratic House members are actually meeting Saturday afternoon and Sunday afternoon to finish writing up the reconciliation budget bill or finish editing. Editing meaning that they've already written it, they're making final changes. All accounts, it looks like that potentially everything may have already been written up for the reconciliation budget bill, that they're just making final edits. The staffers from Pelosi's office tell multiple viewers of this channel that Omar Jalapal and AOC wrote up the inclusion provision of the monthly IRS stimulus check, and that is sliding in there as they finish all these different provisions. Let's go now shortly to this stimulus and then go to the debt ceiling limit. This stimulus comes up later this year, raises your benefits up if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, and railroad benefits. Then they're going to move the asset cap, preventing you from having more than $3,000 in hand, remove the income cap, preventing you from working, and then removes the marriage penalty. So love is going to win. It ties your benefits also to a new benchmark, which is inflation. I'm reporting it may be as high as 5%. That means first they'll raise your benefits up, then they'll apply the benchmark. And if it's 5%, you'll go up at least 5% next year. Not just next year, lifetime, because once your benefits go up, they never go down. Finally, the debt ceiling limit. If you've been with this channel since day one, we have had at least one or two other times where we missed the debt ceiling limit. And because of that, I know exactly the questions that viewers are asking, and I'll answer your questions right now. First, will we miss the debt ceiling limit next week? I believe we will. And then first question that people always ask is their checks. The answer is 100%. your checks will arrive on time in the month of September. So if you are on Social Security, if you are on benefits like SSI or SSDI, if you're a federal employee, or you're a member of the armed services, or you work for a federal agency, your checks will arrive on time in September if the federal government misses its deadline next week, which I believe it will. When does this become an issue of whether your checks might not come out on time? If this goes 2 months into December. If you've been with this channel, they miss the deadline once or twice before with this channel. They miss the deadline almost 1 or 2 times a year. Missing the deadline a few days is very common. Missing the deadline a week or so is common. Missing the deadline by 2 months is once in a generation. It doesn't usually happen. So, to recap, your checks will come on time the month of September. No cause of concern whatsoever. We will watch this if this goes all the way into December, which I don't think it will. Number 2, the reconciliation budget bill. It has nothing to do with the debt ceiling limit. The debt ceiling limit is the debts the federal government has because of laws. Sort of obvious, isn't it? And the reconciliation is not a law. It's a bunch of Post-it notes, drafts on people's tables meeting at 2 o'clock this afternoon, Eastern Standard Time. It's not a law. So how can it have a debt to it? It's sort of silly. And that's why Mitch McConnell is just like butter, criminal undercover. You know, he is just trying to tell people that the debt ceiling limit will lapse and the recon will implode. One has nothing to do with the other. The only thing that the debt ceiling will not be able to pay is Trump stuff. And Biden's early stuff from 2020 and 2021, because they're law. It has nothing to do with the recon, because it's not currently law. Finally, your schedule. Our schedule, Congress's schedule. Will the debt ceiling limit take away from schedule to work on the recon? No. Pelosi's been very good about this. Pelosi already had the House pass a debt ceiling limit bill. It was passed. It was sent over to the Senate a few days ago. The House is writing the recon, so they don't have anything else to write except the recon now. Over on the Senate side, the people that are doing the debt ceiling limit are not the same people who are doing the recon necessarily, so it has nothing to do with your schedule across the board. And there you go. What a day it has been. Throughout the day, throughout the weekend, stay with this channel because there will be a lot of exclusives. If you called any of the congressional offices and I've not featured your comments on air, send me a private message so I feature them as well. I want to know anything and everything you're hearing from the congressional offices. And then what's important to understand is I want you to do 2 things and promise them to yourself, to your family, and your community. Number 1, I want you to get a pen and paper and write down the phone numbers today for Omar, Jayalapal, Pelosi, and AOC. What I need you to do is I need you to advocate before the bill is released, after the House bill is released, after the House approves the bill, and before the Senate votes on the bill. I need you to keep on advocating because it's very likely we could see the bill Monday or Tuesday. It's very likely the bill could be voted on, but you cannot stop advocating. Advocation of stimulus is needed because in this last week, things that did not concern us were in and out. Inheritance tax in, inheritance tax out. Something from Rod Wyden for taxes in, something for something out. Things go in and out all the time in legislation drafts. So you need to continue to advocate. AOC, Jalapal, Pelosi, Omar, I want you to get those phone numbers. I want you to get ready to call them on Monday and Tuesday next week. And then once the bill is debuted, I want you to advocate more. I need you to keep on advocating. Number 2, I want you to focus on getting this big money under third stimulus and also the nonprofits. I want you to reach out to get those phone numbers for all those 5 nonprofits so you can get as much money as you can because we're still in the fall months. It's not the thick of the winter yet. It is not the end of the calendar year for allocation of funds to the nonprofits. So there's lots of money available for you right now. I want you to get every penny and every penny you can. And with that, join me next at 10 a.m. right after this video, because we're going right into Morning's Crypto. I have a lot about the financial markets. Watch that video, because Morning's Crypto is dependent upon what the financial markets and, of course, the crypto markets are enduring right this week. Then we'll be back live at 11 a.m. with noontime today. I hope you join me as well. Then afternoons LATE at 1, afternoons LATE at 3, evenings LATE at 5, and then shows at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11:30. And with that, thank you for Purple Patrol. Thank you for your great job. And thank you for being a member. But if you haven't, subscribe. Subscribe right now and be part of the incredible family that works together and pushes together. We made history by getting the inclusion of a stimulus check into a CRO's My Idea. Second stimulus check came because of this channel. Now we're on the cusp of making history again. Push and be part of the incredible family that fights together and pushes together. Like the video to 3,000 likes and consider becoming a member. The link is under the video so you can get that newsletter sent to you daily, Monday through Friday at about 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. I'll be back with you next with Morning's Crypto starting in just about a minute or two after this video. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay with LALATE for more.